Hello. Welcome to Full Time. It is presented by Amazon Prime. Jillian Sakovits with you alongside the one and only Tamerra Griffin, and we are going to be diving real deep today into no team wants to be in our episode today. I'm just putting out a warning out there. The NWSL teams that we have concerns about, the ones who sit at the very bottom of the NWSL table and are trending downwards. Some started the season well, others have been on the struggle bus since the season began. We are going to tell you on today's episode what they could be doing differently, how we would right this ship, and we're going to try to figure out what is going wrong for each team. On today's episode, West is not best. I'm going to tell you that right now because the focus is Bay FC. No offense, Tamerra. Bay FC, Seattle, Angel City, Houston, Racing Louisville, and the Chicago Stars. And if you're wondering, what about the Boston Legacy? They get a bye, Tamerra, on today's episode because despite being at the bottom of the table, they are unbeaten in their last 5. So yes, 14th place doesn't mean anything because they're creeping up. So on this iteration of this episode, they are getting a bye on today's episode. Are we okay with that?
Very okay with it. I think. Yeah. I remember when we were sort of previewing the season and looking at the 2 expansion teams, specifically Denver and the Boston Legacy. Let's just say we were managing our expectations from the beginning. And the fact that, you could feel Boston's first win of the season coming before it arrived. And then you could feel their first home win coming sort of before it arrived. So I think that they deserve some grace now that they're trending in the right direction, as you said, 5-game unbeaten streak, which is major for them. So I think we're going to also have our hands full with the teams that we are discussing. And I'm finding myself not even wanting to smile in this episode because it's we need to have a serious conversation about these teams and what's going on right now.
Yeah, it feels perhaps a little disrespectful to smile, but you know what? It's a beautiful day. We're living life. We're doing full time. So there's still things to smile about. And I also love this NWSL world that we're living in, that in a year where there's 2 expansion teams, they're not making kind of our list. So I think that's a win in itself.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. All right. See, small wins.
Silver
wins
linings
here on the show. All right. Before we dive into this topic, Tamerra, it's very hard to ignore the announcements, the celebrations, et cetera, on the men's side as World Cup rosters have begun to be announced for the FIFA World Cup 2026 coming to North America just next month. And it kind of got me thinking how stark it is to everything we always talk about on this show of where the U.S. Women's National Team is now trending in Emma Hayes. And we talk about rosters. We're up to roster 3.0 in terms of who we'd select. But when you think about U.S. Women's National Team OGs that are not retired, who are some that come to mind that you're they have to be on the squad? Because when I went back and I looked at the names that were in 23, those big names, and I don't mean big names disrespectfully, but they're not playing anymore. They're, the Megan Rapinoe, Alyssa Nair, Alex Morgan, Kelly O'Hara, Julie Ertz era is over. And that's not what we're seeing from these big teams on the men's side. So it just kind of got me thinking about the women.
Yeah, that's a good point. The era is not only over, but kind of
long gone,
far in the rearview mirror. I feel like last year what Emma Hayes did in terms of inviting uncapped and inexperienced and younger players into the senior team, really looking back on even that now, felt like this accelerated incubator of time. So much, she packed so much into that 1 year. And honestly, Jill, when I'm thinking of this question of if I could invite an experienced U.S. Women's National Team player back into the fold, the names that are coming up for me are the ones who recently had babies. So they wouldn't necessarily physically be able to play just yet. Maybe a little bit of light training, bicycle riding on the side. But man, justice for Casey Kruger. And congratulations to Casey Kruger, but justice for Casey Kruger.
Well, she's got a year plus. This is for our World Cup announcements in a year or so.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. So we can sort of project what might happen, but she, I think, is one of the best 1v1 defenders to come through the U.S. soccer program on the men's or women's side. I miss her delivery. I miss her physicality. I miss her soccer IQ. I miss her ability to get forward and deliver balls into the box. I miss her aerial presence. I'm sure the Spirit do as well. She's a name that came to mind. And then on the other end of the pitch, Lynn Biondolo. We miss her too. I think her hold-up play, her defensive efforts, and the ways that she can just come off the bench and literally change games, a la 2021 Summer Olympics in Tokyo, are yet, like, I'm yet to see a player in this sort of current core group who can do exactly what she does as she does it. I feel like there are players who have elements of her game, but those are two players that I'm calling in because I think that their presence is just so unique and important. And I guess maybe the parallel to like what we're seeing on the men's side with this heavy emphasis on experience is sort of maybe on the women's side, how, especially on the U.S. women's national team, Emma Hayes is dealing with what it means to reincorporate players who've recently given birth, a la Mal Swanson, Sophia Wilson.
Mm-hmm. Yes, who from an age standpoint are nowhere near Cristiano Ronaldo, et cetera, et cetera. And we are so fine with that.
You could probably add the ages of the two of them and they would still be younger then. Like that's how, anyway. But before we get to the rest of the show, make sure, first of all, that you're following us everywhere we are, at least, where you scroll. Instagram, TikTok, at @TA Fulltime. We always post episodes of the show on YouTube. I know some of you guys are really into watching your podcast. I call that television still, but I love that for all of you. And we love everyone who tunes in, however you do. Also, if you have thoughts that maybe can't be contained to a comment or you want them to be a bit private, feel free to drop us an email. fulltime@theathletic.com. And if you are so moved by the shenanigans that we get up to on the show, feel free to leave us a review as well. We love 5 stars. We love kind words. We love ideas, inside jokes, things that are resonating with you guys, questions that you have, maybe for future episodes. We are here for all of it. And we're always checking our DMs too. So make sure that you're following us, subscribe to our newsletter. The stories that we link to in the newsletter may or may not be gifted, free. There's only one way to find out, by subscribing. And thank you to everyone who's already locked into all of these things because we appreciate your engagement. It's the best way to help us grow this full-time family.
Well said. Well said. And you can slide into our personal DMs. As long as they're not mean, we answer those as well. Tamerra, let's do it. This episode is going to dive into, as I mentioned, the NWSL teams that are trending downward. And don't get on our case about it. These are the teams that are sitting at the bottom of the table, the ones that I mentioned. So we are focusing on those teams that are at the bottom of the NWSL table. For each, we're going to figure out what's going on and how and can they get back on track. And we are ranking just how bad it is. We have tiers of concern. So we're doing this tier ranking system for each team. So for those of you listening or watching, think about the ranking tier graphics that you often see online, with S being the best and F being the worst. Here are our 3 tiers for today. C is cause for concern, easy to remember. D is ring the alarm, so cue Beyonce. And F is you're in danger, girl. We are getting into the NWSL teams that are trending downward. That's right, we're focusing on the teams that are way down in that NWSL table. Here's what we're gonna do today. For each, we're going to figure out what's going wrong and how to get back on track. And we are ranking just how bad it is. There are going to be 3 tiers of concern for you, Tamerra Griffin. And what is helpful here is this does go in like a grading system. It's C, D, and F. C is cause for concern. D is ring the alarm. Cue Beyonce for these. And the F tier is you're in danger, girl. That gets you a straight F. So let's go through these teams if you're wondering, wait, who's bad again? Like I said at the beginning, it's 10 through 16. 10th place is Bay, 11th Seattle, 12th Angel City, 13th is Houston, 14th again, Boston is on a bye, 15th Louisville, 16th is Chicago. Let's start in order of the table positioning with Bay. Tamerra's local team, 2 losses, 2 draws, 1 win in their last 5. 11 points from 8 matches. Their wins this season have come against Denver, San Diego, and North Carolina. Their coach, Emma Coates, is in her first season coaching in the NWSL. Tamerra, in your mind, the people you're speaking to, the people you're around, what is going on with Bay FC?
I think there's 2 ways to sort of assess Bay FC in this moment. The first is where the team is and how they're performing and how the football is looking now compared to last season. Mm-hmm. And then there is, you look at the personnel, you look at the players that they've brought in, you look at the staff that they brought in with Emma Coates, and you look at, or you make a sort of a comparison between what you're seeing on the pitch and what the expectation is based on who's on the team. And I think that sometimes you can reach 2 slightly different conclusions there. In the former case, I think I was at Bay FC's home opener to start their 3rd season in the NWSL. And it was, they got a first win over the Denver Summit. 2-1 victory, very important. And I think that the feeling in PayPal Park that day was truly just overwhelming relief, because last season tested a lot of resolve. It tested a lot of faith. It tested a lot of belief. It tested a lot of emotions from the players, from the staff, from fans. It was rough. And it's one thing for a team to finish at the, near the bottom or at the bottom of the table, but it's another thing for them to finish at the bottom of the table and the football is not footballing. And that, I think, was Bay FC's season last year. So for them to come out and have something that looked more like a clearly defined identity, a clearly defined style of play, and midfield that was controlling the game, I think there was a lot of relief. Like, okay, regardless of how the results shake out over the course of the season, at least there is a point of view happening on the field. And I think that matters a lot, actually, to fans, which is excellent because it means that we're all watching the game sort of similarly. Now, when you look at the other sort of perspective that I described, I still think that Bay are underperforming based on who they have on the pitch. Jillian Sakovits has been continually, I think, keeping Bay in game. She's, I think, still one of the more talented shot-stopping goalkeepers in the league. But when I look at the other end of the pitch with the attack, I'm still not really seeing a cohesion among the front 3, whether it's a combination of Rachel Kundananji, Christiana Girelli. I think the fact that Alex Pfeiffer has been dealing with an injury the last small handful of games has really hurt the team, because she came out hot in the beginning of the season, her first with Bay coming over from the Kansas City Current. Super young, super dynamic player. Of course, the fact that Bay FC brought over Claire Hutton, also from the Kansas City Current. When I was talking about the midfield having an identity and sort of a point of view, I mean, everything that she has given Bay FC in terms of the stability and sense of calm that she provides in the midfield is exactly what you're seeing Kansas City currently, no pun intended, lacking in a lot of ways, especially in the start of their season. And I know we're getting to Kansas City in a minute. So I think that when I look at the roster of Bay FC and I look at what Emma Coates has brought in terms of her own coaching IQ and her own sort of philosophy that she's introducing to Bay, a lot of players will talk about how much agency she gives them to figure out problems themselves on the field within the parameters of the structure that she is sort of imposing on them. And I don't mean imposing in a bad way.
It's a good point.
I just want more.
Yes, I understand that. They have a game or 2 in hand, depending on who you look at. They've played 8 games, but they've only scored 8 goals. And with who they have, you'd be expecting a little bit more from them. But Tamerra, I have to say, overall, and perhaps it was what our basement was for them, I feel like you're rosier than I would have thought on Bay. So what tier are you putting them in? Honestly,
cause for concern. I'm going to keep it light. I I think that one word that I hear Emma Coates use a lot when she talks about that sort of missing piece between where Bay are now and where she wants them to be is confidence. And I think the confidence, especially in that final third in front of goal, is why we're seeing them scoring so infrequently, which honestly I think was something that they struggled with even before she came. So I'm hoping that maybe a combination of having a summer break, you know, we can all sort of take a beat and rest. We're all a lot of new faces in this team. Maybe another signing or two during the summer transfer window could sort of make up that difference. So I'm not raising any like fiery red flags just yet. So I'm giving them a mild cause for concern for now.
Okay, and that is our best score here on our bottom of the table rankings. I'm not sure if this is a way to go get your confidence, but on Wednesday night, they go to Providence Park to play the Portland Thorns. So perhaps that's not the game to gain confidence, but then they come back home and they host the Chicago Stars, who we will be talking about. Next up, Tamerra, we have the Seattle Reign. 3 losses, 2 draws in their last 5. They have not scored a goal in any of those games. 11th place in the table from 9 matches. Their wins this season coming against Orlando, the Kansas City Current, the earlier, we'll call the Part 1 Kansas City Current, and Racing. What is going on with Seattle?
Oof. I mean, the fact that Jess Fishlock, Seattle Reign OG, picked up an injury, and the stat that you just shared, Jill, about them not having scored in their last 5 games, the fact that Jess Fishlock, even last season for the Seattle Reign, we have to fact check this too, but I want to say she was their top goal scorer last season, but has been continually still in her elder millennial, aging like fine wine state, carrying a lot of responsibility for getting the ball in the back of the net for this team. That in itself is a cause for concern. But that's not the grade I'm giving Seattle. I'm just saying that is a very telling indicator of what's not working for this team. And while I have really, truly a lot of respect for the way that they have been developing some of these younger players, Emery Adames, Sam Meza, I think there's still something that's missing. And I don't know if it's that this is a team that has long been able to rely on the luxury of veteran presence, whether it was Lou Barnes, Jess Fishlock, Megan Rapinoe, to sort of balance out the youth. And that's been sort of tilting, I think, more in the direction of more younger and fewer, less experienced players without, especially on the field, the presence of someone who can kind of wrangle everyone together and be like, let's get this effing done. But they just feel listless sometimes on the field, which is really disappointing to see because they have so many young, exciting players on their team. Also, I mean, Lynn Biondolo, who I mentioned already.
Yes. Just had a baby 3 weeks ago.
Exactly.
And so I remember she's not coming back anytime soon, nor can she, or should she. But that's not going to fix their problems.
Yeah. I look at players like Maddie Darlene, who I think is excellent. And I wish I could even say that there have been several moments across, these last 5 fixtures where they seem like they're right on the cusp but not making it. I mean, shout out to Sofia Huerta. She is still like in really impressive form, still, going back to her assisting ways, returning to the league from France. But they just seem a bit directionless. And similarly to what I was saying about Claire Hutton joining Bay and leaving Kansas City Current, leaving a Claire Hutton-sized sort of hole in their midfield that they needed to figure out, I think the absence of Jess Fishlock is really, really felt on this team. But that's also not something that we should be saying of a player with that level of, with that number of seasons under her belt, like that kind of veteran on a team that's so young. So I want to give them somewhere between a ring the alarm and you're in danger, to be honest, because we should not be seeing this kind of performance from Seattle for a team that reached the playoffs last season.
Oof. Okay. So you are giving them like an F+.
Yeah.
An E.
Which was definitely a thing in school.
Yeah. An F+. Oh my God, that's really funny. All right. Before we close this chapter on Seattle, What do you think is the best way with what she has? Then again, the summer transfer window is coming, but what do you think the best way to get Mia Fishel going is for Laura Harvey?
Oof. I know that a lot of clubs are investing increasingly in IDPs, individual development programs. If Mia is not already locked in with something like that, it feels like this summer break is a good time to maybe lean into that. I do think that I've seen some incremental improvements when she's on the pitch. I still think that at her best, she has one of the best hold-up games in the U.S. For club or country. It would have been nice to see her sort of build a partnership with Lynn on the field. The timing, of course, hasn't worked out, but I think there just needs to maybe be a conversation about, and this is something that I remember Mia Fishel saying to me right before she signed with the Reign, that she wants to be a leader on this team, on and off the pitch. And so I feel like now is kind of that time where you need to have a conversation with her and be like, okay, you said that you wanted to do these things. Now is the time. And what is that going to look like? What is required of you to sort of turn this team around? What kind of conversations are you going to need to be having with your teammates to make sure that we're all on the same page? And it sounds like the culture of the Seattle Reign historically has really provided like a fertile ground for those kinds of candid conversations. I'm just hoping that they're actually happening.
Yeah, because last year you could chalk it up to not only new to the Reign, but new to the NWSL, having played in Liga MX for Neil Pryor, coming from Chelsea. She comes in the middle of the season, so you can give all these things, and now it's like you want to see that player who came from Chelsea and is gonna embrace her first full season. So hopefully that comes. It is important to note she did come over, slightly knocked with a couple of knocks from Chelsea. Okay, let's close our little chapter on the Seattle Reign, who I think get an F+. Okay, Angel City. 4 losses and 1 draw in their last 5. They're the only team in the bottom half of the table with a positive goal differential of +3, but they have 10 points from 8 matches, and that puts them, Tamerra, in 12th place. Their head coach, Alexander Strauss, who I feel like we were giving him his flowers at the beginning of the season.
Not too long ago.
Had an episode called Will Angel City win the supporter shield, for crying out loud? Here he is in his second season in the NWSL. Will the real Angel City please stand up? Who is it? That's going to be my question.
Yeah. And like from a place of grace, I will say that one thing I remember Alex Strauss repeating, even when Angel City was at the top of the table. I mean, that 4-0 victory over, who was it, Chicago, that they started the season with, was emphatic. And I myself also wrote about it. So yeah, there's, I think, a sort of muscle memory of, oh, we thought this team was going in this direction, and now here we are again, winless in 5 games, that I'm sure is being felt among Angel City supporters. But one thing that I do remember Alex Strauss saying repeatedly, even when they were in their successful stretch at the start of the season, was that he was not expecting it to stay that way all season, because this is a new team. This is his first full season with the team. And he still wants to give players room to make mistakes. Now, whether those mistakes were enough to sort of translate into losing 4 straight, I'm sure was not necessarily what he was imagining when he said that. But I do wonder if one thing that I'm really trying to remind myself as well, especially when I look at some of these younger teams, is how exceptional this season is with the summer break of the World Cup, with it being an expansion year, with the number of midweek games and the travel that's required of that. You really can see the ways that takes a toll on players in games. I mean, some of these midweek games or the weekend games that follow midweek games are a struggle. So that's just sort of like blanket grace I'm giving to all NWSL teams, especially the ones with younger players for whom this is all very new for them. But for them to have started the season the way that they did, and then to have this drop off, it's also we're about to talk about the dash next, but it's disappointing. And your question about who is the real Angel City, I think is valid. I think still, when I look at the business that they did in the offseason, bringing Ari Borges, bringing Emily Sams, signing, these top college recruits like Taylor Suarez, who's been getting a lot of game time, bringing over Priska Chilufya, I still feel optimistic about this team. Maybe this is my California bias, but I am from Northern California, so it's never going to be that much bias for a Southern California team.
And it is important to note, while 4 losses and 1 draw sounds really grim, that 1 draw is their most recent result, and it was at Providence Park. They did keep Sophia Wilson off the board. So if we're putting our rose-colored glasses on, that's the happy things to look at. Okay. What else can we talk about with them? Oh, you know what? Let's give a little bit of love to the forward in Svendis John's daughter, because 3 goals, 2 assists, leading the team in goal contributions. She's been a real bright spot for this Angel City team.
I think so too. And she definitely has that dog factor that sometimes I feel is just missing from a few different NWSL teams.
I didn't know that the Icelandic people had that dog.
Maybe it's that lack of daylight that they get or something. It just
love it.
Allows more time for that dog to sort of brew beneath.
Yes.
Maybe if we have her on the show, we'll ask her about it.
I'd love to. Yeah, podcast she's been on. A great personality for the league.
Totally. No, but she's been great. And I think she had a bit of a slow start, as we often see happen when players come over to the league from Europe. There is that adjustment period. I think that was last season for her. She's come in so hot. I think that she plays with so much passion and grit. And I think last season it was just about sort of refining that a little bit, not getting rid of it, but making sure that it could all be channeled toward what the team needed. And I think that's what we're seeing this season. I think they just need like a regrouping moment.
What tier is Angel City in?
This is going to sound a little bit crazy, but it's still just cause for concern for me.
Me too. Yes, I agree. Cause for concern.
They've had some red card moments. They've had to make adjustments for, player suspensions and things like that. I think that, and in a way, it might be advantageous that this stretch is happening early enough in the season for them to turn things around.
This is a totally out of right field trivia question for you. What is the word that Alex Strauss used in his post-game press conference that we were just loving at the beginning of the year? Because I can't remember it. I've been racking my brain.
Something was an illusion, right? Like the ceiling is an illusion.
Yes, because someone asked what Angel City's ceiling was, and he said ceilings are illusions.
Yes, and then everything became an illusion for us.
Yeah,
from kids' bedtimes to.
I'd love to have a follow up with him about illusions. But anyway, alrighty, 13th place Houston Dash, who also, similarly to Angel City, not quite leading the supporter shield, but their season started out good. They won 3 of their first 4 matches, Tamerra, and now they are winless in their last 5. 4 losses, 1 draw. That one coming against Seattle, 10 points from 9 games. Okay, so what is going on with Houston? Do we have a problem?
We do unfortunately have a problem. And this one is especially perplexing to me because there was a lot of individual talent on that team. And honestly, the times that I feel most down about Houston are when I look to the touchline, because Dash head coach Fabrice Gautrat, maybe he just is unlucky with the broadcast camera. But whenever the camera has panned to him in times that I've been paying attention, I'm seeing slumped shoulders. I'm seeing maybe like a little bit of sunken posture in the coaching seat. I'm seeing fingers to the temples kind of energy. And to me, that conveys stress and like not really knowing what to do. And to compare maybe to a team like Bay, where I said that even with the sort of struggles, I mean, they're mid-table, so decent already. But with Bay, you at least whether they get the result or not, you have a sense of what they are trying to do. When I watch Houston, I don't have a sense of what they're trying to do other than to survive the game. And for certain teams in this league, like a Washington Spirit, like a San Diego Wave, who ironically actually lost to the Dash in their first game of the season, but the Wave as they exist now, you sense that from a team, and the game sometimes is over before the whistle is even blown. And that's what makes me really sad about Houston. They just seem directionless. And I think those are some of the most concerning sorts of, that's the most concerning kind of energy that a team can convey. I don't doubt that they have players on the team who want to win. I mean, you have Avery Patterson right there. You have a lot of really talented rookies, I think, that they've signed.
Right, but you need a strong manager with rookies. No matter how well they did in their collegiate career, you need strong leadership to get the best out of people that are making a major transition. You mentioned the personnel, Tamerra. We saw Delaney Sheehan, Yasmin Ryan, both getting traded to Denver, and I think we all wondered, okay, like who's gonna replace them? And then you hate to see Mackenzie Roby getting a season-ending injury with her knee injury. So I know we had the conversation on this show earlier in the year of will a coach be fired before the summer transfer window, and that sounds like at this point perhaps unlikely. But I'm sure he's feeling like he's on the hot seat right now. But in terms of what you could add rather than take away, is this the team that you see going really into the market come the summer transfer window?
It's a really good question. I mean, I keep going back to the fact that before the season started, the Houston Dash hired Twyla Kilgore. And I remember having a conversation with her about that. And one of the things that she said was that she was looking forward to sort of leveraging her experience with U.S. soccer, not only with U.S. soccer, but really all over the world, to bring players into the Dash and get them bought into this project. And we're yet to see that happen yet in terms of signings.
They have the resources, the financial resources now. If you have all that money from those trades, like
just sitting on it,
it's like $1 million.
Truly, from the Yasmin and Delaney trades. On the flip side, and I remember our pal Theo, I hope you're well, and I hope you're not listening to this, Theo, brought up that Houston might be in the market as a club. And sometimes that can affect business decisions as well. So I think there's a lot of tension potentially in how Houston wants to build their roster right now and where they're sort of looking to do that. But I think it's also, no matter how much money you have, depending on what player you're looking to bring in, it can be really hard to make that sell when you're performing the way that you are, straight up. And so that's another sort of like counterpoint to like, yes, they have this money, but what are you actually selling right now? Beyond the salary that you're offering, what should a player expect to receive if they join the Houston Dash right now, considering the way that things look, considering the way that where they are on the table? It's tough. I don't think it's impossible. Certainly crazier things have happened. And if they are doing their homework, they might be able to identify a player. I mean, I'm not even really sure like where in terms of the region of the pitch they have the highest need right now, but I'm looking at the fact that Mackenzie Roby was in such incredible form before her unfortunate injury. She was scoring goals for them. Maybe it's something in the attack. Maybe it's someone who can really control the tempo of a midfield and play alongside Danny Colaprico and really sort of build out from the midfield. But at their best, they are a great possession-based team. And I think that they just need to get back to that. Unfortunately, I think where they are and where they started the season, the chasm is just growing.
Yeah, the team is still for sale. After last year's failed attempt, the Houston Dash are still for sale come 2026. All that being said, Tamerra, where do they rank on your tiers? Are they C, cause for concern, D, ring the alarm, F, you're in danger, girl?
You're in danger, girl. Houston, there's a problem. Yeah. Houston, there's a problem. And, again, I'm going back to the timing. Maybe, I mean, we'll probably be talking about this closer to the summer break that the NWSL is going to take, but I really want to believe that this summer break could be exactly what some of these teams need to regroup and have time to really ask hard questions. I think the Dash are one of those teams that need to ask some really hard questions, especially considering where they established themselves at the start of the season. Like, it's there and it's possible.
And all those questions and everything can be asked, but when business comes into play, we don't have the exact insights as to how much that's going to stall things, slow things, or just not make things a top priority. All right, moving on to 14th place. Boston, we're skipping you today because you're 5 matches unbeaten. So let's move on to Racing Louisville in 15th place. 2 wins and 3 losses in their last 5. The record is 2-1-6, Tamerra. They did make the playoffs last year, I should say. For the first time in club history, they have a historic season under 2025 NWSL Coach of the Year in Bev Yanes, her 3rd season with the club. It really felt like Louisville was trending in the right direction and perhaps exceeding expectations with what they have and what is the resources there. But here they are. What's your reaction to racing so far this season?
I think when you achieve what they did last season, there should rightly be.
Should we call it overachieve?
I think they achieved. For me, it was a neutral achieve. I think that their performance lined up with expectations last season. But when you've done that, it sets a precedent for the expectations of this season, rightly so. Internally and externally, I know, just based on what I know about Bev, that was the goal was to only build on what they accomplished last season. And clearly they've not done that. The sort of tongue-in-cheek joke about Racing is that they had perennially been the number 9 team, and they are way below that now. Yes, we're only a third of the way into the season. Yes, there's still ways to go. I think one of the sort of overarching themes so far this season has been the sort of roller coaster nature of a lot of these teams' performances. And when I look at the fact that Racing beat Portland, beat Orlando, but then also lost to Houston and Seattle, that to me is like a roller coaster run right there. It's disappointing to see. I think that maybe the issue with Racing is that they didn't evolve enough. They didn't build enough in terms of their roster. I mean, they lost Ari Borges to Angel City. She was so key for them, sometimes in ways that were a little bit quieter than other players' performances, or her presence on the pitch wasn't always as, or her contributions on the pitch weren't always as noticeable as someone like a Taylor Flint, for example. But I think they probably needed to do a bit more in the off season to make sure that they could continue moving forward, because now there are 2 more teams in the league, more competition, more games, of course. And it's not that they even look well, there are some, I think their identity has not changed too much from last season, but I think the problem is that they have not added anything more, because I think the flip side of having a strong identity as a team is that you become very easy to study. And given what they accomplished last season, I think it provided a lot of teams with notes and film. And so I think that they have just sort of lost that X factor. They're sort of ex-bully that I sort of have always admired about this team. Feels a bit softer this season. And it's sad. I think it's something that can be remedied for sure. But they need to get some of their bite back.
Yeah. Their 6 goals are the second worst in the league, only to our final team, the Chicago Stars. But before we get into them, who have 8 losses on the year, before we get into Chicago, Tamerra, does Racing get a C, a D, or an F?
I'm ringing the alarm on Racing. Yeah. Maybe if they hadn't made the playoffs last season, it could just be a cause for concern, but we've seen better from this team, and so we're expecting better. But
you want the D, exactly. In this case, you want the D. You don't want to just perennially be the team who no one ever expects to make the playoffs. You want to be a victim of your own success, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the Chicago Stars, shall we? This team, Tamerra, they cannot score a goal, and that's putting it nicely. 4 goals on this season. That is the worst in the league. A goal differential of -18, and the woes are defensive as well. And we're gonna zoom in on that in a moment. 1 win, 4 losses in their last 5 matches. They've conceded 7 goals in the last 2 games. They have had 1 clean sheet, Tamerra, all season. Those 2 wins came against Boston and again, a different looking at Kansas City. What do we make of the Chicago Stars? Is this where we thought they were going to be? But
I'm not going to lie.
This was the realm, right? Yeah. I didn't want to say that they were 16th, but we kind of knew they were going to be down here.
Yeah.
No disrespect.
I mean, we looked at the small motion during the off season and who they brought in. I think the number of coaching changes last season already kind of set things up to be inconsistent at best this season. You look at the roster, and again, you could say this of most NWSL teams. There's plenty of individual talent, but there is no vision for how these individuals are going to work together to push forward a style of play that is going to get a team success.
And that needs to come from the coach. He was announced last year in Martin Sjogren that he would be coming over to take charge of the Stars. He officially started at the beginning of the 2026 season. We are going to get into Mal Swanson in a bit because that's like where I want to go. I want to talk about the positive. I want to put my rosy colored glasses on. But when you hear things like that, no vision, you said that about Houston, you're saying it now against Chicago, how much of that does fall on the coach when you also look at the pieces that are there?
Yeah, I'm putting a lot of that on the coach. That is like the heaviest bullet point, I think, of their job, along with the sporting director, the 2 working in tandem to create a team, to create a style of play, to have a philosophy that they can then go to players that they're looking to recruit or, speak to with players who are currently on the team and use that to sort of gauge how aligned are you with our vision. And again, you don't get that at all with Chicago. Nobody in a league that bills itself as the most competitive in the world wants to be the team that when an opponent comes to face you, and let's say the opponent themselves have been having a rough go at things, are thinking, well, at least we've got Chicago next. That will give us an opportunity to reestablish our confidence. That will give us an opportunity to see, the ball go to the back of the net. Like, Chicago is becoming that team. And it's rare for a team to have sort of that title in the league for this long. I mean, from back to front, there are moments, sporadic though they may be, of promise. And I know Jamise Joseph has been dealing with a bit of an injury, but even before, I started to doubt that vision when I saw her on the bench, because I said last season the one thing that Chicago needed to do was build around Jamise. I still think that's true. This one, honestly, like, it's hard to even diagnose exactly where the problem is. But to answer your question, I think Martin Sjogren needs to be shouldering a lot of the blame here. And when those hard questions come, I think he's the one who needs to answer for them.
Okay, let's talk about Mal Swanson. She comes on this weekend in the 76th minute. She gets her first bit of minutes since she had in 18 months. She gave birth to her first child this November. And what made me feel good when I was seeing her face, seeing her back, but also seeing some of her post-game quotes. The one that really stood out to me is when she said, "I don't feel like it was a journey to the finish line. I feel like it was a journey to the start line, just because I feel like I'm a whole new person." And the U.S. Women's National Team, her clubs have been perfectly happy with who Mal Swanson was. So to hear her feel so invigorated and empowered coming back, which has to be it's so hard to go back to work after your body has been ravaged and you've taken on a whole new life, let alone at the elite level that she is now doing it, that the question has to be asked. She can't fix everything, but how much can Mal Swanson fix the Chicago Stars?
I'm receiving that question with the, as best as I can sort of project, timeline between where Mal is now and when she becomes 90 minutes game fit, because not only are you going to need a 90 minutes game fit Mal Swanson to even soften some of the blow of what the Chicago Stars have been facing, but you're going to need like 4 more of her. Not literally her, but like a player of her caliber. That's where Chicago is right now. That's how much help they need. And I'm already feeling a bit of preemptive concern about what kinds of expectations and responsibility might be placed upon Mal Swanson's shoulders to save this team. And I'm worried. It's a lot. And I'm worried that it's going to veer into unrealistic, like Delulu territory. And listen, I love a Delulu moment. I think delusion is important. But we don't want to mess with someone
at that level. That to fix the Chicago Stars is too Delulu.
It's going to take more than a healthy Mal. And obviously, everything is easier on the soccer field when you have a healthy Mal Swanson. But the issues in Chicago right now are actually bigger than anything that she individually can contribute herself. And I hope that realization is known within Chicago's front office, and they do whatever they can to find players this summer during the transfer window to support her, to support players like Jamise. There's only so much that an individual player can do, I think, when the scope of issues is this large. So obviously hoping and will be ready to receive and watch healthy Mal when she can go a full 90 minutes. And I'm sure that her contributions, not only what she's doing on the ball, but her leadership, just being firmly back into the team and being able to join huddles and give direction from the touchline, even if she's not playing, are going to be significant. But I really hope that we are not expecting her to just save this team.
No, and this is a PSA before I get your ranking, Tamerra, of level of concern. But if your goal differential is minus 18, I'd start trying a few things. They're conceding, like I said, a lot of goals. Go give rookie defender Elise Evans a shout. She went to Stanford, first team All-American, ACC Defensive Player of the Year. And you have her sitting on the bench. Martin. Unless there's something we don't questions. Know. We got questions. So I think we know where we're going, but what score are you giving them?
Yeah, danger. Danger.
Girl, or should we say guy? Guy, you're in danger.
Guy, you're in danger. Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad, and it's been bad for a minute.
All right, that does it here on our rankings of who are the teams we are most concerned about in the NWSL. Who do we miss? Were we right to give the Boston Legacy a little bit of a doubt? As always, let us know. You can send us a DM at TA Fulltime or shoot us an email at Fulltime as well. Before we go, though, the CONCACAF W Champions Cup semifinals are happening on Wednesday night, with the final taking place on Friday. The teams participating, Tamerra, are the 2-time champions in Gotham FC. Then we've got Club America, the Washington Spirit, and Pachuca. How do you see this one playing out? I want to know who's lifting the trophy Friday. Is Gotham the three-time winners?
You know, there's something with Gotham and an international club tournament. This team turns up for them.
Yes.
Juan Carlos Amoros, which congratulations on the addition to his family, by the way. Anytime any of these tournaments, whether it's CONCACAF, whether it's FIFA, comes up, he loves to taunt. He loves to flaunt Gotham as a team that craves these opportunities to show their dominance on a global stage. And I will not be surprised if they have the prospect of a three-peat just kind of like circled somewhere in the locker room. They've had an interesting season. They're not performing poorly, but I think for the reigning champions, certainly they were not part of the main part of our
Sure weren't.
our episode today. But I still think that there's another level that they can reach, and probably will in the second half of the season. I think we might start seeing little bits of that in this CONCACAF W Champions Cup. It's a tournament. They want to win. They've won it before. There's something to defend, similar to them defending their NWSL title. I can kind of see them doing the thing the more I think about it.
Me too. I agree. I think that, hey, if this all pans out at the end of the NWSL season, it'll be that this was all by design. To put your foot like half on the gas up until this point. And it's not a terrible place to be. The reigning champions sitting in 5th place in the NWSL standings, even on points with the Washington Spirit who are in 4th, both on 18 points. Okay. Moving on to the end of the show, we have to say thank you very much for hanging out with us here on Full Time. Like Tamerra alluded to at the beginning, we want to hear from you. So hopefully this bottom of the table conversation got you thinking. Do you have an answer, a fix, or you have a thought? Should we have included Boston? Let us know what you're thinking. As always, you can email us at fulltime@theathletic.com. or shoot us a DM over on Instagram or TikTok at TA Fulltime. I don't want to be shady, but as we know, you know what question Tamerra always gets the people going. What coach should be on the hot seat? Like, who should be on the hot seat the most? Let us know what you think after we kind of set the scene for some of these teams not doing so well. All right, did you know that The Athletic has partnered with Yahoo Sports to provide free best-in-class coverage of women's sports? That's right. Go check out the Women's Sports Hub at sports.yahoo.com/women-sports. That does it for our show today. Jillian Sakovits alongside Tamerra Griffin. Full-Time was produced by The Athletic. For more in-depth coverage of the women's game, just head over to theathletic.com.